Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us today. This is Dr. Imran Khan, clinical psychologist, psychotherapist, speech and language therapist, and I'm from Pakistan. And I'm also a social worker, human rights defender, and I'm a mental health advocate and autism advocate as well. And we have other things going on over here too. So I would like to slowly introduce everyone because this is our support group international, where we make sure that professional and parents and child with additional need can attend this, and that also include caretaker too. So family can include can attend this session, adopted parent can attend this session. It's not that if you have a child and if you don't have a child, and if there is anyone in your family who have these kind of issues, they can come to this forum and they can talk to us and they can
Get the
discuss
kittens,
their
please.
problems there. So I will
Thank you.
ask Cricket to introduce herself, then I will ask some other member to introduce themselves.
Hi, everyone. I'm Cricket Barrientos, founder of Sounds of Autism, and I am a mom of a 20-year-old autistic individual. Boy, it's actually a boy.
Okay, yes, Dr. Shagufta, we would like you to introduce yourself. And I said that we call you Dr. Abbasi. And she said that, what do you call her? I said, I call her Shagufta. Or I call her Khatun, actually.
You two are so silly.
Yeah, I'm Dr. Shagufta Nasir Abbasi. I'm clinical psychologist working with child and adult. I'm cardiac preventive psychologist also working with autistic childs. Senior Vice Chairperson Abbasiya Welfare Foundation, Senior Vice Chairperson Mutaida Ittihad Abbasiya Women Wing, and also Journalist Wing. I'm Ambassador for Peace International, Pakistan and Kashmir. I'm working now the days with flood victims. Little bit my intro.
Thank you.
Now we will request Jacqueline, if I'm not taking it wrong. To introduce.
You're fine. Good morning, everybody. My name is Jacqueline. I am the, oh my God, it's so early in the morning for me. And I got coffee. I am working with Cricket in the foundation. I am the director of the ambassador program here, and we're starting in my area, in Buckeye. And I have a daughter with cerebral palsy, developmental delays, and we think that she's autistic too. So I just trying to get to the community to get to help each other. We need that help. We have so many parents out there that they do not have any help. They don't know where to get it, or they just not have the tools necessary to get the help. So that's what we are here for, to help them out.
Thank you so much for joining this. And you all, I think it's morning time in your place and it's our evening time over here. So I will request, what is her name? Okay.
It's night.
Kanasha, yes.
Yes.
Kanasha.
Yeah, Kanasha. How are you, Kanasha, by the way? And how is your pet? We have seen the pet also.
Your
the pet house. Oh, I rescued 3 kittens, and then I have a small dog and a 7-year-old child who's also on the spectrum and like a carbon copy of myself. So it's like it's karmic payback from my childhood while on the spectrum myself. So I guess I would say I'm working with the Sounds of Autism. I came on because a friend of mine, another participant, Hannah, actually introduced me to about with the Sounds of Autism because of my struggles by myself and my daughter. Because here in the United States, through the insurance companies, services and therapies are cut off at the age of 17 because insurance companies don't see the use in them because you should have been cured by now, So I'm trying to be the ambassador, and since I'm on, more of the verbal and I hate the term, but the high functioning, the best masked actors, and then like you go to psychologists and stuff like that, and they treat you like you have like multiple personalities. I'm like, no, I'm just masking to try to make sure you're comfortable with interactions with me. Like, you know, and all of the doctors that I just want to be a voice, you know, all the doctors that get offended because I participate in an intelligent way to discuss, you know, my care, you know. So it's an interesting and unique way because I come from like a very poor area here in Phoenix, you know, and I've been a delegate for, you know, like I said, Model UN, I've got degrees and stuff like that, but people look at me and they're just like, sometimes they're surprised that I have degrees. Like here, they've been hounding me about taking classes. I'm like, I want to start using my degrees. I don't mind taking a class once in a while, or like if I'm on campus, I'll go and talk and I'll like, you know, motivate other kids to get through their classes and stuff like that. You know, like I have no problem mentoring and stuff like that. But I think for right now, like my major university studies are more, I want to act on them. I want to be able to use my expertise and my voice to be able to fix things.
It's okay. It's okay. Please
It's okay. Listen, we have stuff in the background on all of our calls. It's not a problem.
Is she back up there?
Yes. Things.
My kitten has autism as well.
Oh my God.
And she's so cute. I can see her. She's so cute.
She is a dolly. I love her. Right, her
And
name
I
is
like her
Rocky.
hair, long hair. You know, I also used to have long hair. Now I cut them short, but I also always have long hair. Always. Now I think I have to cut them.
Yeah, I've
She
always
thinks Raya's
had an obsession with long hair. So my oldest, I've had to come to terms with. She cuts and dyes her hair, and she uses her expressions and takes it out on her hair. So I've just asked her, I'm like, I understand and I've come to terms with it, but at least give me the grace to warn me and give me time and the grace to process what I'm seeing, please. Because I remember being about Riley's age back in like, you know, early 90s and stuff like that. And people had like the rainbow mohawks and stuff. And I literally thought that they were rooster people, you know? And so like my little brain is like, my baby has become a rooster people.
Kanasha, is your daughter, your older daughter, is she autistic as well?
I believe that she's partially on the spectrum, but if you think about it, she was going through college courses and stuff with me. So she wasn't in daycare. I was at home with her until she was 3, and then I started my college courses back up. And whenever she wasn't like watched by her grandma or like an actual like preschool, she was at school with me. She was like going to classes and stuff like that. So, and college interviews, you know, college fairs and stuff like that. So I believe she is. And it was because I did a lot of, I don't know if you know the term, but like world schooling or unschooling, you know, where I went on her pace. I knew what I needed her to do, like reading, writing and stuff like that. But beyond that, I let her like pick her curriculum. And both of my kids were fine until they started going to school. You know, Riley, she's outgoing. She absolutely loves you from the moment until you give her a reason not to.
Yeah.
You know, so
Jacqueline, I would love for you to share. Dr. Khan, did you have a question?
I was saying that it is a very common saying. I will not say it's a common saying, but I have read it somewhere so many times, and I also believe that whenever a child on spectrum or autism or with needs don't like somebody, then they might have a very good reason for that, and listen to that, because it doesn't matter that your child communicate or not. They are communicating with, even they can show through cry. They would cry loud, they would cry low, they will show this discomfort, and listen to that thing. Please don't listen what is happening around, because you know they have to be very keen about these things. So I think there are always reasons, because child might bully some other children, the way they look at someone. So there's a lot of things that you have to take into consideration. So Now you can say
That's one thing. Yeah, that's one thing I'm trying to sort out with her, because she's the type of child when she feels like she didn't get her fair turn, or when she gets embarrassed or something like that, she'll go off and hide. And I'm like, with my background and stuff like that, I can't have that anxiety happen. Like, you know, if you can't, as an adult, I leave, you know, with the trust and care of my child, cannot keep track of my child, you know. Like the other day she got upset because I've told her, you know, asking to go to the bathroom is a courtesy. If your teacher literally says you can't go to the bathroom, you get up and go to the bathroom, you know, because she wet herself this last time. And so she's gone through like 3 days where she has to be back in the pull-ups because she's not confident enough to sleep without them, you know, because they didn't let her go, you know. And I'm like, you have to let my kid go to the bathroom. Like,
that's the point.
you know, that
because I was not familiar with a lot of conditions in my college time, even in my university time, I need to have to go to outside. It's not even about the washroom. I need to go to outside and I need to have a full round in a big place. I need to have walk for 5 minutes, then come back.
right.
But I feel comfortable.
I understand. I will deal with it. There's nothing she can
environment, and you
Leave
have
her
to
alone.
think about those things. And I was never aware of these things. That's what I'm doing. There's a timeout, stuff like that. But it is very much required. You have to give them that space, like sitting all the time on the chair. Because, you know, one day I was working on research on few things, and it was about academics. And actually, I was reading about learning disabilities, and it came into my notice that the education system that we have, that was meant to be for you know, for it came after World War I and II, because they required people to follow them. So the classroom that we have, these are exactly like you are creating some kind of robots. Like teacher have the you know, that remote control, and she will put on, and child would say something. So we have to think about the point that we are not generating robots. These are human beings, and we have to think about that. I mean, if child want to go, then she need to let that. Not thinking about that, the fact that child is going to, you know, disturb the class and stuff like that. And I have seen a lot of teachers snubbing children over these things. And I would tell them that please let the child go outside. The child would come back, and the child will do his homework or classwork too. So I think parents need to understand that, or teacher need to understand that why the child is doing this. They just need a timeout, because that is a kind of a strategy to uh, you know, not to feel meltdown at that situation, or not to react or tantrum or showing temper tantrums in this situation. So this is very important to, you know, first, because whenever we're talking about meltdown or temper tantrums or thing like that, we have to know the reasons. So I think that is very important. I think you have to talk to the teacher. It was very
good. Yeah, like I said, that's one reason why I kind of like look back and recognize like the signs that my oldest is on the spectrum, because like I wasn't allowed to cry as a child. In my family, if you're gonna cry, I'm gonna give you a reason to make the noise, like, you know. And I mean, I have that thought process in my head, but I don't execute it, you know. But people, but like I said, both of my girls, like, because I wasn't allowed to cry, I tell them, I'm like, you're not allowed to throw a fit. I mean, if you're freaking out or something like that, we'll get you to a calm place and stuff like that, but you're not allowed to throw a fit for, you know, attention and stuff like that. But if you need a moment to go and cry, just let me know where you're going to do it so I can keep an eye on you. And I know that you're in a safe place. When you're done freaking out, come find me. We can do the hugs. We can talk about whatever you're freaking out about, you know. And people would always be like, do you know your kid's over there in the corner crying? I'm like, yeah, she asked me and she let me know. I'm, you know, I'm aware, but thank you, you know. And they just be like, well, why aren't you just like in their face? I'm like, because when I'm crying, the best way to have me, I don't know if you know the term, but Hulk out, is sit there and try to figure out how to fix it. Like, it's not something you can fix. I'm freaking out right now. Give me a minute to process. I might start crying or something. I might like cuss at myself in the corner, but you know, I'm working on not getting scary, you know, freaking out, you know, and people don't realize that. So, but that's how I kind of recognize my oldest. And even she was a type of person, like I had her in counseling and she tried letting them know, hey, I think I'm having a problem with ADHD. and
Girls used
attention
to
and
say
stuff
this.
like
Girls
that,
used to say that.
yeah. And the counselor boldly looked at her and goes, "You're over 12 years old. If you had that symptom, it would have been diagnosed long before now. So we're not even going to approach that." And I'm like, she's a 12-year-old girl articulating that she's having these issues. Could you at least discuss it with her instead of just, there's not a possibility, next subject, And so that's when she started closing up on him and stuff like that, and didn't want anything to do with counseling. But she's starting to recognize some of like the thought processes and stuff like that. So she's reached out to the like local mental health department and stuff like that, and is active in her mental health. I'm like, look, baby, I'm sorry. Like, when I met your dad, I didn't realize the mental health on his side that came with genetics as well as ours. And I am very sorry, but I'm glad you're here, so, but she just put the money down on her own condo and stuff, the one that I always wanted to live in. So I feel like an accomplished mom.
Cricket, you have, I think I just posted that about temper tantrum. You might remember that, Cricket. We did a stimming session. That was our last week's session, where we talk about how to manage stimming. And I think I mentioned you a case in our place too. The child used to cry all the time without any reason. Like, sometimes because sometimes you cannot get too much cry. So what I did that in sensory room, we call that a sensory, that is a crying zone. I call that child, that is a crying zone. Go there and cry as much as you want. And when you stop crying, then you can come out. I was not saying stop crying, stop crying, stop crying. I mean, the child is feeling the need, that's why the child is crying. But at that time, I would listen to the child, what the child is trying to say. The child was saying, the child was calling to his mother and he was saying, my feet are hurt. I said, okay, then sit down. You don't need to stand up and cry. Just sit down and cry. So he know that. And one day he said that, teacher, now I stopped crying. Can I come out and we start reading? I said, yes, let's do that. I mean, that's the same child you asked me about. That
No.
child. Yeah, that's the same child. He used to do that. But that you just let him manage to manage his emotion. And that is very, that was very simple act maybe. But the child learned that is my cry zone and that is my emotion outburst zone. I can go there and I can do that. And when I feel comfortable, I can go out.
Go back.
Go
Yeah.
back to what I was.
Jacqueline, does your daughter stim? Like
No,
pacing or flapping arms or anything like that you're aware of?
no, she doesn't know. No, she doesn't know.
I know your situation is very different in some ways, and in some ways it's very similar to what we go through. I would love for you to share a little bit about some of your daily activities and the things that you're, going through, because we want to serve not just autism, but at risk in autism. And at risk is all kids with disabilities or severe mental and behavioral health solutions, PTSD, whatever it might be. And sometimes my husband says him and I are conditioned autism, meaning we've learned to live the life of an autistic individual because for 20 years we've been doing the exact same patterns that he does. Yeah. So.
Right. Okay. So, so with Stephanie, she's 18 now. And so you cannot daily, I have to wake her up. Sometimes I have to remind her to get up. And then when you wake her up, she gets mad. And I think it's a normal, typical thing for teenagers in the morning. Now she gets angry to everything. Like she's getting dressed, she gets angry. If her shoes are in front of her and she's looking in another place because she thinks she put them there and they're in her face there and she just go nuts. She's just like, oh, I don't want to do this anymore. And, she started getting very frustrated. And I'm looking at her, I'm like, girl, the shoes are, I'm like, Stephanie, here's your shoes. I have to be that person that I have to lower my voice and be nice. And I'm, Stephanie, what are you looking for? Oh, it doesn't matter. I don't need it. It's I'm not gonna do this anymore. I don't know why I have to do this. And I'm like, what are you looking for? Your shoes? There is your shoes. What do you need? Do you need socks? So I'm kind of like trying to make everything easier for her during the day. So she gets stressed, and all this is with this face of anger. She's get angry all morning. And then when she gets in the car, she's still angry a little bit. She put her seatbelt. I'm just giving you guys a little bit of her during what I go through every morning. And then once she's in the car, that she put her seatbelt on, that I start driving, oh, her mood completely changed. It's like a switch change. And then she started talking about school. She started talking about what she's doing in TSW, what her friends are doing when she don't like something. And this is a whole conversation, which she changed from being angry the whole morning to be just normal, not angry, just want to share. So she shares all the way until I get, and when we get to the school, I'm parked for her to get down. She's just sitting there, still talking. And I'm like looking at her, I'm like, hello, time to go. I had to push her out of the car. And she said, okay. And then she goes, when she comes home, she don't like to give hugs to, like, her sister come and give her a hug when my older comes home, because she's married. So like she came yesterday and Stephanie hasn't seen her for a week because she's a paraprofessional at one of the charter schools here. So when she came yesterday, she went to give her a hug and she went like this, like she put her hands like this. Okay, that's it. And she's like, Stephanie, why are you not giving me a better hug? And no, she just give her a hug like this. But then when it's me, she give me hugs, like full hugs. But if it is anybody else, she doesn't. And if you meet her, she will, and you want to give her a hug, she will go to the side, like, and she will touch you like a little bit, and that's it. That's enough for her. She already showed her all her emotions on that. Also, she when she's washing she likes music that calms her down. She suffered from seizures. She has a seizure disorder. So when she gets very sick, when she gets sick, she gets seizures. And she go fully in the ground, shaking the whole 9 yards. And she don't get one, she get up to 3 and 4, one behind the other. She turns cold. She gets cold. She gets cold by the touch. It's like, I don't know what happened with her body, but she goes cold. She gets very pale. She's white, like white. Her skin she's white. I'm just, I had color. She doesn't. She's super white, but she's like, she gets pale. And you can see it. She gets very tired. But either way, so, and for me, it's always a struggle because I have to be a mom, but at the same time, I have to redirect her on everything, because if I get to her level, I know I'm going to lose it, because I know me, and I have a total of 4 kids, and she's my only special one. So been dealing with the other 3 normal kids. I can tell them whatever, I get angry, doesn't matter. But when I get to Stephanie, I have to completely leave that out on one side and then just, redirect her all day long. Because if I don't redirect her, she will not listen, which she doesn't, but in her own way. But she do love music. Like, she has her headsets, forgot to mention, she has these headsets on 24/7. She don't like loud noises. If she hear very loud noises, that triggers something on her that she start. Now that you mentioned about the hands, she start getting anxious, and she start kind of like jumping a little bit, and then she move her hands like this. And so yes, she's doing that. I forgot because
Thank
it's
you so
not
much.
all the
Correct
time.
time we have only 3 minutes left, but less than 3 minutes. And I would like to welcome Alexander and Veronica. They were having some other support group. Hello, Alexander. Hello.
Welcome.
Welcome.
Hi, Leah.
Jacqueline,
Hello.
Jacqueline, it sounds like your daughter, might, she's sensory overloaded. So the headphones and the music, they drown out the over sound, so it helps her feel safe. I know even in silence, if I'm in like this, I can hear everything. It's so stressful. I can hear like 2 blocks down the road, like, and so I have to have music in order to help refocus my every other sense. It's like my auditory senses are like 1,000%. It makes sense that she needs music to help her feel safe, and she's probably everything around her all the time, but she can't communicate it because she's listening to everything. So communicating it makes her unable to. Yeah. I connect with your daughter quite a lot. when you talk about her, I'm like, oh my God, that's me. I had seizures when I was a child as well. Not that bad, but I did have to be hospitalized a couple of times. I don't have them anymore, but
very overstimulated too. Like when something
the electricity in her body, it's like
she start jumping
1
and
minute
kind of
left.
shaking her
1
hands.
minute left.
Sorry.
You have to restart this meeting again. Okay? Join this meeting.
We have to jump off and jump back on, guys.
Thank you so much,
And
Alexander.
Dr. Khan,
Okay.
Dr. Khan, I bought Zoom, so I'll give you my link and we can use it going forward so we don't have to jump off anymore. We can keep going. But
Okay.
Jump up.
hey, Cricket.
I will record the meetings.
Okay, bye.